I saved 43 children from a terrorist compound in Syria. And today a 20-something college kid with a megaphone is calling me. A baby destroyer on national television. The Veterans Day parade in downtown Phoenix was supposed to be routine wave. At the crowd, shake some hands, maybe grab lunch afterward with my old squad. Instead, I'm standing in the middle of Central Avenue while thousands of people film me getting screamed at by a kid who wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. Marcus Thompson, you're not a hero. You're a war criminal. The activist skinny, pale, wearing a Veterans for Peace t-shirt that's clearly never seen actual peace, points his finger at me like it's a weapon. How many innocent people did you eliminate in Iraq? How many families did you destroy? The crowd is murmuring, phones coming out, that electric tension you feel when something's about to go viral for all the wrong reasons. My old platoon sergeant, Rodriguez, steps forward like he's going to shut this down, but I wave him off. Son, I say quietly, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? The kid pulls out his phone, starts reading. Sergeant Marcus Thompson, 82nd Airborne, 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Participated in Operation Iron Fist, Operation Steel Curtain, Operation Green Sweep. He looks up triumphantly. How many civilians died in those operations, Sergeant? How many children? Each operation name hits like a punch to the gut, but not for the reasons he thinks. Iron Fist was where we pulled a family of 6 from a burning building after insurgents booby trapped their neighborhood. Steel Curtain was when we spent 2 weeks distributing medical supplies to villages cut off by fighting. Green Sweep ... Green Sweep is classified. Green Sweep is the operation that's going to keep me awake tonight, just like it has every night for the past 80 years. You weren't there, I tell him. You don't know what we did. I know enough. He's really working the crowd now. Voice rising. I know American soldiers went into other people's countries and brought violence and death. I know you personally. Personally what? The kid falters for a second, checking his phone again. Someone's feeding him information, real-time intelligence about my service record. But whoever it is doesn't have the full picture. Nobody does. You personally led raids that resulted in civilian casualties. You were investigated for. Investigated. For what? I step closer, and the kid actually backs up. For what, son? For excessive force during a compound raid in 2016. The crowd goes dead silent. Even Rodriguez looks surprised. He doesn't know about the investigation either. Nobody knows except the Army Criminal Investigation Command, the Pentagon brass who authorized the mission, and the 43 kids who are alive today because of what we did that night. That's right, the kid continues, emboldened by the crowds. Reaction. Marcus Thompson was investigated for war crimes, for targeting civilians, for saving lives. The voice comes from behind me, cutting through the activist's speech like a blade. I turn to see Captain Jessica Chun in full dress uniform, service ribbons gleaming in the Arizona sun. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was supposed to be in D.C., keeping our secrets buried in classified files. Captain Chun? I'm genuinely shocked. What are you doing here? Stopping this. She faces the crowd, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's led troops in combat. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is a coordinated disinformation campaign designed to discredit American veterans. The activist's face goes pale. That's not, I'm just exercising my right to spread lies based on stolen classified information. Chun pulls out her phone, shows the screen to the nearest news cameras. This young man has been in contact with foreign intelligence operatives who provided him with partial information about Sergeant Thompson's service record. Information that's been deliberately distorted to create false narratives. The crowd murmurs, confusion rippling through. The mass of people. The activist is backing away now, But Chun isn't done. Sergeant Thompson wasn't investigated for harming civilians. He was investigated because he violated direct orders to protect them. My stomach drops. She's going to tell them. She's going to reveal Operation Green Sweep, and that will start a chain reaction that brings down careers, compromises ongoing operations, maybe gets people currently in the field hurt or worse. Captain, don't. 8 years ago, Chun continues, Sergeant Thompson received intelligence about a terrorist training camp in Syria. A camp where children were being held, trained as weapons, prepared for suicide missions. The official mission was surveillance only. Observe and report. The activist is trying to leave now, pushing through the crowd, but people are grabbing him, demanding answers about these foreign operatives, Chun mentioned. But when Sergeant Thompson's team observed the camp, they discovered something the intelligence reports hadn't mentioned. The children weren't just being trained, they were being used as test subjects for chemical weapons. They were dying. I closed my eyes, remembering the surveillance footage that convinced me to disobey orders. Kids as young as 6 years old, stumbling around the compound with bleeding eyes and convulsions. The trainers, timing how long it took for different chemical agents to incapacitate or eliminate their victims. Sergeant Thompson made a choice, Chun says. Follow orders and watch 43 children die slow, agonizing deaths from chemical exposure, or violate direct orders and stage an unauthorized rescue mission. Captain, this is classified. Was classified. She shows me her phone. Presidential. Authorization came through 20 minutes ago. The Syrian operation has been declassified for the purposes of this disclosure. I stare at her. What? Operation Green Sweep is no longer classified, Sergeant. As of today, the American people have the right to know what you really did in that compound. Rodriguez steps forward. Marcus, what is she talking about? Chun answers for me. Sergeant Thompson led an unauthorized raid on a terrorist chemical weapons facility. His team extracted 43 child prisoners and destroyed a laboratory that was developing chemical agents for use in attacks on American soil. The crowd is dead silent now. Phones are still recording, but the energy has completely shifted. The activist has disappeared entirely, melted into the mass of people who are now looking at me with a mixture of awe and confusion. The investigation wasn't about war crimes, Chun continues. It was about whether to court-martial Sergeant Thompson for disobeying orders or to give him the Medal of Honor for preventing a chemical weapons attack on American cities. They chose neither, I say quietly. They chose to classify the whole operation and pretend it never happened. Until today. Chun's smile is grim. Turns out the terrorist organization Sergeant Thompson destroyed has been feeding information to various anti-war groups, trying to discredit the soldiers who eliminated their operation. The young man who was harassing Sergeant Thompson? He's been in contact with Syrian intelligence operatives who have been systematically targeting veterans of classified operations. The crowd erupts. Questions, shouts, demands for more information. News crews are pushing forward, trying to get interviews. But all I can think about is those kids, the ones we pulled out of that compound 8 years ago, who are now teenagers, living normal lives because we decided to break some rules. Sergeant Thompson, a reporter shouts, how do you respond to these allegations about foreign interference? I respond by saying that the only thing that matters is those kids are alive. I look directly into the camera. 43 children who were going to die in a chemical weapons test are now in school, playing sports, growing up to be whatever they want to be. That's what matters. But what about the investigation? What about the allegations of war crimes? Chun steps forward. Again, the investigation concluded that Sergeant Thompson's actions prevented a terrorist attack that would have eliminated hundreds, possibly thousands of American civilians. The chemical weapons his team destroyed or being prepared for deployment. In major U.S. cities, a new voice cuts through the crowd, deep, authoritative, with a slight Texas accent I recognize immediately. That's right. Master Sergeant William Jackson pushes through the crowd, followed by the rest of my old squad. Martinez, Williams, Cooper, even Stevens, who's supposed to be in Germany right now. They're all in dress uniform, all wearing their service ribbons, all looking like they're ready for a fight. What Marcus isn't telling you, Jackson says, addressing the crowd directly, is that he volunteered for the investigation. When command found out about the unauthorized mission, he could have blamed his squad, could have claimed he was following someone else's orders. Instead, he took full responsibility and told command that if anyone was going to face consequences, it should be him. Rodriguez looked stunned. Marcus, why didn't you tell us? Because it was classified, I say. Because I signed papers saying I would never discuss what happened in that compound. Because protecting those kids meant protecting the secret of how we saved them. But now the secret's out, Williams says. Now we can tell the truth. For the next hour, my squad tells the story of Operation Green Sweep to a crowd of thousands in cameras from every major news network. They describe the intelligence that led us to the compound, the horrifying reality of what we found there, the decision to violate orders and stage a rescue mission that had no official authorization and no backup plan. They tell the story of 43 children who are literally dying when we found them poisoned, beaten, traumatized beyond imagination. They describe the night-long firefight as we held the compound while military medics evacuated the kids. They explain how we destroyed the chemical weapons lab and the research that could have been used to attack American cities. But most importantly, they tell the story of what happened to those kids after we rescued them. Adopted by American families, relocated to safe countries, given new identities and new lives. Children who were supposed to become weapons of terror instead became doctors, teachers, engineers, artists. One of them just graduated from MIT, Martinez says. Another one is studying to be a pediatric nurse. A third one started a nonprofit organization that helps refugee children. These aren't statistics, these are real people with real lives. Because Marcus Thompson decided that following orders wasn't as important as doing what was right. As the crowd disperses and the news crews pack up their equipment, I find myself standing alone with Chun and my old squad. The weight of 8 years of secrecy is finally lifting, but it's being replaced by something else. The knowledge that our story is now public, that those kids' safety might be compromised, that enemies we made 8 years ago now know exactly who we are and where to find us. Captain, I say quietly, was declassifying this operation really necessary? Chun's expression is serious. Marcus, that activist didn't just happen to know about your service record. The information he had was too specific, too detailed. Someone with access to classified files has been feeding intelligence to foreign operatives, and they've been using it to target veterans of sensitive operations. How many others? At least 12 that we know of. Veterans who participated in classified missions have been harassed, threatened, had their reputations destroyed by activists who claim to be exercising free speech, but are actually carrying out foreign intelligence operations. Stevens speaks up. Sir, are you saying that Kid was working for the Syrians? I'm saying that Kid was being used by people who are working for the Syrians. Classic intelligence operation: recruit useful idiots. Feed them just enough information. To be dangerous, let them create chaos while keeping your own hands clean. Rodriguez shakes his head. So they've been targeting Marcus for 8 years? Targeting all of you, Chun corrects. Everyone who participated in Operation Green Sweep has been on a watch list. Your names, your addresses, your family's foreign. Intelligence has been tracking you since the day you came home. The implications hit me like a freight train. Our families are in danger. We're in danger. declassifying the operation, and revealing the foreign intelligence connection changes the game. Now it's a matter of national security, which means protective services, surveillance, the full resources of the intelligence community. Chun's smile is cold. The people who have been targeting you just became the targets. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a coffee shop in Denver, reading news reports about the arrest of 12 individuals connected to a Syrian intelligence operation designed to discredit American veterans. The activist who confronted me at the parade turned out to be a useful idiot recruited through social media, fed information through encrypted channels, convinced he was fighting for peace when he was actually serving foreign interests. But the real story isn't the spy ring or the arrests or even the vindication of my squad's actions. The real story is the letter I received last week from a 25-year-old graduate student at MIT who signed it simply one of the 43. Dear Sergeant Thompson, it begins. You probably don't remember me. I was 6 years old when you pulled me out of that compound in Syria. I was sick, scared, and convinced I was going to die far from home. You carried me to the helicopter yourself, and during the flight to the medical facility, you kept telling me in broken Arabic that I was safe, that I was going to live, that I was going to have a chance to grow up and be whatever I wanted to be. I wanted to let you know that I'm graduating next month with a degree in biomedical engineering. I'm starting graduate school in the fall, working on developing treatments for chemical weapons exposure. I want to help other children who might find themselves in the situation I was in 8 years ago. You saved my life that night, but more than that, you saved my future. You gave me the chance to become someone who can help others the way you helped me. I will never be able to repay that debt, but I wanted you to know that I'm trying. Thank you for being willing to break rules to do what was right. Thank you for choosing our lives over your career. Thank you for showing me that heroism isn't about following orders. It's about protecting people who can't protect themselves. P.S. 37 of us are still in contact with each other. We call ourselves Thompson's kids, though I don't think any of us will ever stop being your kids. We're doctors, teachers, engineers, artists, and one is even thinking about joining the army. We exist because you existed, and we'll spend our lives trying to be worthy of the sacrifice you made for U.S. I fold the letter carefully and put it back in my wallet, next to the photos of my own kids and the medal I never received for Operation Green Sweep. Outside the coffee shop, people are going about their daily lives, unaware that their safety has been protected by soldiers they'll never meet, making sacrifices they'll never know about. That's fine with me. Heroes don't need recognition. They just need to know that the people they protected are safe, happy, and free to build the lives they choose. Everything else is just noise. But sometimes, when that noise gets too loud, when the accusations and attacks and disinformation threaten to drown out the truth, it's good to know that the people who really matter, the ones whose lives were actually saved, remember what really happened and why it mattered. 40-3 kids who were supposed to die became 43 adults who are changing the world. That's not a war crime. That's a miracle. And I'd break those orders again in a heartbeat to make it happen. Asterisk.